Hi everyone, ErravensAddiction here again, or Dallas, or whatever you come across calling me. Sorry if the video is a little washed out. I didn't play with any of the settings. It just seems really bright today, I guess, with where I'm sitting, which, yay for the same background once. But, yeah, I hope that doesn't bother anyone. I'll see what I can do. And yeah, I guess this is the 4th episode, and I'll just be catching up over the last 2 weeks what's been going on. If you watched my 3rd episode, you know I was about to take a trip to New Mexico the next weekend, which was last weekend. And I did. And it was really great. Like, I'm going to post pictures probably of my trip on the forum. And I didn't take a ton of pictures because I'm really terrible about pictures for some reason, but I got a lot of scenery pictures because the scenery there is just so different. I live in Pennsylvania, so going from one side of the coast to the next, it's just always a change. And I'll probably post a couple of stories of like all the craziness that happened. That way I'm not like bombarding all the stories here, because I could just probably talk for like 2 hours about it. But I traveled for the very first time on a plane by myself. I made it through airports by myself. So I feel pretty satisfied with my travel savviness now. I've been out of the country, I've been in the country, I've flown by myself, and I've taken a train by myself. I think I can travel. Okay. But yeah, so that was crazy. Like last week I left Thursday morning, didn't get back until Tuesday night. It was actually like 2 o'clock in the morning before I hit my bed, because the airport's about a 2-hour drive from where we live. And so yeah, it was a busy week. And I went to work on Thursday then. I could have taken a longer vacation. But I saw some knitting friends while I was out there. That's the reason I traveled. And I know I said I was going to do the video there, but by the time I packed my bag and I thought about it, I really didn't want to take the risk of traveling with my computer and then having to try to fit in doing this around what they wanted to do. And I'm a little shy about doing these videos, so I make everyone leave. Like, no one's here at my house, or no one's in this room with me. So I knew we were going to be staying in, like, hotel rooms and stuff, or, like, renting places to sleep in, and I didn't know how the layouts were going to be, and I didn't want to be, like, leave the house now so I can do these. So instead I just took pictures and figured I would fill everyone in, which is what I'm doing. But it just so happened while I was there, they live in Las Cruces, and I flew into El Paso, which is in Texas. And I flew in on Thursday, which was the 1st. I'm trying to remember. It feels like forever ago now. And I flew in on a baby plane. I will post a picture of this plane. It was the smallest thing I'd ever flown in. Apparently, do not do international flights first and then domestic flights. You should always do the other way around, because I was spoiled because of flying internationally first. And so yeah, I did that. And then we flew in, and it just so happened that last weekend, which is the weekend I was there for, was the Taos Wool Festival, which the Taos Wool Festival isn't very big. Like, I have pictures of the entire place. It took 2 pictures to get it. And there's probably like 20 or 30 vendors there, and they all have to be from Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and maybe Arizona are the only 4 places they can be from. So they all have to be pretty local, which makes it kind of cute and not as crowded, not as busy. I mean, the fairgrounds are clearly not as big as, say, Maryland Sheep and Wool would be. And so it was very laid back compared to that. Still busy. Like, some of the tents we had to pass by because they were just that crowded. And maybe the tents aren't set up that for crowdedness because of that. It just seemed very crowded considering there wasn't a lot of places, like a lot of people there. And it's dog friendly. There was dogs everywhere. It made me wish that Maryland Sheep and Wool was dog friendly. I understand there's more sheep there and there's more animals and they're afraid that the dogs and the sheep won't interact well, but it was so adorable to see all the dogs just hanging out and not caring. I might have heard one dog bark the entire time we were there, and the sheep that were there seemed totally cool with it. They were like, I could care less. Actually, they didn't even want to get out of the trailer, so. But we were there, and while I was there, I have a full room of wool, so I kept myself pretty low-key on what I was and wasn't allowed to bring home. Sorry, I buried all my stuff. So, oh, I forgot the yarn upstairs. I got like 4 balls of yarn, and they're really bright colors, like in your face pink and pink, purple, yellow, and blue. And I'm hoping to do slouchy hats with them, or something along those lines. I might do a scarf, but I was only thinking about a scarf because I was pretty desperate to start a new project while I was there. But I'll post pictures, or maybe I'll fill you in on those next week. But I also decided the only thing I really wanted was to learn how to lock spin, because I'd played with it while I was on. Sorry if you're hearing background noise. I have the door open because it's gorgeous outside again, and I'm hoping you're not hearing like some person revving their engine outside. But back to the lock spinning. So I know I can lock spin on my drop spindle, so I decided that was my goal. So I got a big ball of yarn, wool. Not yarn, it's wool. Let's see. Again, it's so washed out on here. I don't know why. I didn't play with the settings. Let's see if it will focus. It doesn't help that this is like gray. It's a very light gray. But you can see it's all scrunchy. For me, it's not bad in this form. Like spun up, it probably won't go next to my skin. Like around here, it's very fine on my hands. I'm also okay with scritchier yarn. But it's Leicester Longwool, and again, Actually, I had to ask my friend where this is from, because she brought an entire fleece. I may or may not have been her enabler. But, it's Leicester Longwool, and... Sorry, I'm being distracted by finger spinning it. There's 6 ounces here, and it was like $12, which isn't bad. I've paid more. I've also paid less, but it's really nice. I mean, it's really soft. Like, it was between this and another ball of yarn, or wool, that they had there, and this one out, because I love the light gray that goes with it. And like I said, I'll post all the information I can find about these people, because that was a wonderful little tent to be in. Then, sorry for all the, like, noise. They're in baggies. But then I found, I don't often like Mohair, but I found this tent of Mohair locks, and they were grab your own ounce for it, and they were like, put it in separate baggies, put it all in one baggie, we don't care, like we'll weigh it up and charge you. They had already weighed out really long locks, they had just raw locks, they had everything you could do with Mohair, but they had these dyes, and it was a whole wall of the tent of dye colors, and I went with, let's see if this will show up now. Do you see how curly that is? I'm gonna have to work on this, but do you see how curly that is? And it came in this kind of gray, which it doesn't look very gray on here, but it came in that kind of gray, and it came in a very bright blue. Come on, babies, you want to. I'm wondering if I bumped this or something at one point. Because, or maybe I'm just that pale, it is like flipping out. My sister said, on this trip, I'm in New Mexico, it's all sun, you know, and my sister said that I would be the only person that could come back whiter than I left. I almost came back whiter than I left. I use so much sunscreen while I'm there because I burn, and I burn really super easily, and once I burn, I don't tan, I just go back to white and burn all over again. So I've learned the hard way that lots and lots of sunscreen are my friend. But yeah, so I found that and gray, and last but not least, that was 1.1. Let's see here. I'm trying to get a really nice lock to come out of here. And then a purple. And I figured along with the gray, there we go. Did it just color adjust for me? Thank you, finally. And I just love how curly this stuff is. If I was a felter, I would totally be making little dolls out of this stuff. And like I said, I will be posting their name because they were wonderfully nice people. And they said if I liked anything there, of course I could just contact them through email or through however they sell their stuff and let them know, and they would send me some more. Because I mean, it's just, and like I said, I'm not a Mohair fan, but this stuff is soft, and this stuff is like so pretty. Like that, because of the color issues, like it's not doing it justice. I might have to take pictures and post pictures of it. And I got, there's an ounce in each of these almost. Like one's 1 ounce. I got it right on the dot. I got 1 ounce. She said if I did that for all 3 bags, they might have to hire me. But then I got 0.9 and I got 1.2. So I got like 3 ounces. And I figured I could spin up the big barrel of 6. I'd spin it one time, and as I was plying it back, that's when I would add in the locks, and I'd try to kind of like loosely spin it in a way, and then hopefully that would all help it grab together. My other idea was spinning 2-3 ounces of the gray and spinning one with the locks and the other one separately, and then plying them. But yeah, that was all my taos. That's all of it. Like I didn't spend a lot, and I definitely didn't get a lot, but I have a whole room of yarn, so I've been pretty bad about bringing stuff in and not taking stuff back out, so I need to get better about that. I need to finish some projects before I get serious. Oh, and then I bought more yarn, but that's another story. But the night before taos, my friend had, before she knew I was coming, she had gotten tickets to go see, he's on my phone, give me 1 second. I will put up links. It won't link to this, but I found a whole hour of this guy talking, and it's amazing. Like, it was just so peaceful to listen to him. But from what I understand, he's from Scotland, and he grew up in a time when it wasn't traditional to talk Gaelic or anything that's traditional Scottish. They wanted them to turn into English. And so even though the whole country was trying to force everyone to be this one direction, he really fell in love with the old traditional way of talking, the traditional way of working. His mom and his grandmother were net makers. They would make the nets that his father and the other men in the community would use to go fishing. And then also he learned how to weave. And because back then they didn't have jackets or rain jackets or anything that would keep water out, especially when you're fishing and you're surrounded by water, you would have to do something that's called fooling. I think that's how you say it, fooling. Or walking, which is a way of felting. It would be our way of felting, but it's slightly different. And after you would weave a piece, because you can still put your fingers through it, they would have once a way of it was so tight you couldn't put a finger through it. I'm trying to think if that's right. Yes, I think that's right. I might put links to it just so I'm not screwing up really historical stuff. But I always love history things, especially like, it's why I spin, it's why I knit, because it's something that not everyone does. They don't realize at one point it was the only way you were going to get a pair of socks was to knit them. And so he learned how to felt. He said there was different ways of doing it. Like some people might have put it over a tree and then beat it on the tree, and other people would have jumped in a big pot of stuff and smashed it with their feet. The way he learned, though, is that you would sit at a group of tables, and like I said, I'll post a video and I'll post links and everything, but you would sit at a table with there's 10 people at this table, and you would sing these traditional Gaelic songs, or even he knew 4 or 5 languages of songs. but his are always Gaelic because that's where I mean, they're not always, but that's the ones he grew up with. That's the ones he talks about the most because those are the ones he knows the most. And even though he's saying for us in English. And so you would pick it up, slam it down, and pass it. And just doing that for like 4 songs that were like maybe 2 or 3 minutes each, the width of the weaving shrunk down by like 8 inches, I think, by the end. I think it shrunk. I think it started out on, it measured the weft, it was 45. It came off the weft at 44. By the time they were done, it was 20, not 20. It was 38 or 37. He said you could have keep going and bullets would have bounced off of it, but they didn't want it to be that harsh because they didn't really need it to be that harsh. They just wanted to prove that it is a real way of working cloth. And it was amazing. She took me along because because I was the more willing partner in that. But it was amazing just to listen to the guy talk and talk about old stuff and talk about traditions and talk about and sing. It was all very amazing. And his name was, since I forgot to tell y'all, Norman Kennedy. And he's like 80 years old. And like I said, there was like 10 people, but they would switch out. No, there was 11 people, and they would switch out 9 of them because him and the guy who wove it stayed on for all the songs. These women were switching, like, I mean, there's women and guys, but they all were switching out every single song. They were that tired every song. They were just like, I mean, I think they would have stayed if they wanted to, but they were more than happy to also change out. And he stayed on for all, like, 4 songs that they did. And he acted like it wasn't a big deal. The only thing he kept complaining about is how much altitude they had there, and that it was making his voice really dry. But before we went and saw that, we went around house and just did a little shopping. We weren't really looking for anything. We just showed up early, and my friend took me to her favorite toy store, and she said it's not like she needed toys. She just always loved it because it was so cute. And we happened upon the like stuffed animal thing, and I told her I saw a little fox in there. I said, "Oh my God, I have to leave. Like, I can't be buying fox stuff while I'm here." And then she's like, "No, why?" And I explained to her that foxes were my thing. And then she's like, "No, let's just look at him." And then she picked up this little guy. Isn't he adorable? He's so cute. And at first I thought he was just like a little pillowy guy. But he has weight. Like, he's actually like, he felt heavy. And so she's like, "Wow, he's actually like weighted." And then she read, where is it? Like, "Warm me up in the microwave." And here, let's see if it will focus on. If it doesn't, we can always just link it. Alright, it says Hootie Friends, because it won't do it. Fully heatable Hootie Friends, warm me in the microwave. And then inside of it, it gives directions. Oh, I have so heated up things hotter than that. I didn't look at the directions. But he's actually a rice bag. And if you don't know what a rice bag is, I mean, of course, it's simple. They're filled with rice, but they can also be filled with like grains and corn, and we have one that's filled with cherry pits. And then he has lavender in him, but I've known other ones that have other herbs in them that are for certain ailments. And you heat them up. I actually knew someone who also put them in the freezer. But we always heat ours up in the microwave for, he says 2 minutes to 90 seconds, but I've definitely heated them up till they're like barely can touch them hot. But after they're in the microwave, you put them on any aches and pains that you might have, and it helps. Like, if it's like a hot water bottle. He's basically a hot water bottle, but he's not a hot water bottle. He's a microwavable rice bag. And like I said, I knew someone else who put them in the freezer, and that's for ice packs. I mean, they're basically ice packs then. But and we use them all the time. Like, we use rice bags for everything. I was joking with my friends that rice bags was our fix-it-all. If you had a headache, go put a rice bag on it. If you had the flu, put a rice bag on it. If you broke your leg, you put a rice bag on it. Like, this was our fix-all growing up. I mean, still to this day, if I'm not feeling the best, I want a rice bag on me. So it was just adorable to find one that was in fox shape. He's my little baby now. So I was very thankful that my friend actually made me go and pick him up, because he came home. You saw how far I made it with resisting. And then I'm thinking, we went to Taos. We went to Taos. While we were in Taos, we were there for like 2 days. We stayed in this adorable little Adobe style house. It was round. It was definitely not real Adobe, but it was adorable. And they had a pull-out. I slept the first night like on a pull-out bed, but the second night I ventured up into this little loft area, and that was adorable. And then we left house, and we went to I'm hoping I'm going to get this right. I'll link it, and then someone can yell at me if I'm not. But we went to a Pueblo, and that's the Native American reservation. This Pueblo spoke Tiwa, T-W-I-A, I think, and I'm not sure if that's also what they called themselves. There was a lot of information being thrown at me all at once, and so I might have mixed some of that up. I'll definitely link though, because like I don't want to offend anyone, but yeah, so I mean that was a highlight of my visit, was getting to go to a Native American reservation, because I have like a very tiny amount in me. My grandmother would have been the last one, I think, to be able to register, but she was too, like, by the time she realized that she was outside the age limit to register as, I think, Cherokee. I think that's what it would have been. And so I always knew that was a little part of my history, like it was a little part of something I should always take a little bit more seriously. I mean, everyone should really take history seriously anyways, but it was always just a little bit more to me, because I don't know, because when it's your own ancestors, you realize how far you came yourself. And so it makes you a little more appreciative, I guess. I don't know. But we took a whole tour around the place, and again, more pictures will be posted. But like, they had true Adobe houses there that were gorgeous. And like, the one that I have pictures of, I think they dated it as 1,000 years old. The church was 800 years old, and that was and then they had newer structures on the very edge of it that were for like for the tour information. That was the newest buildings, and they were within like the last 50 years. But the real houses were definitely like old. And I mean, they always are updated. Twice a year they get the outside of an adobe house. An adobe house is mud bricks dried in the sun with straw or other such things inside of them, and then they would be stacked. And I mean, the walls were huge. They were this thick or more. And they would stack them up, and of course they make these square houses. And there was actually, like, I don't know, I'll post links to all this information, because I don't want to like take up all the time like talking about nonsense. But they were just gorgeous, and to know it's all natural, like to know that I like to feel like I'm very close. I try to be as close to nature as possible. I try to only use what I know I need. I don't like to overuse, and I don't like to waste. And from time to time, I'm almost vegetarian. And so to be somewhere where they understood that, where it was just part of their culture to only take what they needed, and when they did need something, they used as natural of a product as possible, was just amazing. And yeah, it was really cool. And they had just had a ceremony the day before. So like, in one of my pictures, there's this big pole, and that's part of the ceremony. And after the tour, like, they take you through a whole tour, and the guy was really great. And they take us to the tour. Oh, and the tour ended with us going to their water source, which I'll even post a picture of it, because it's so cool. In New Mexico, you can tell where's water and where's not, really simply, because where the water is, there's more plant life, and it's green plant life. It's not like cactuses and brown stuff. It's very green and luscious right along the banks. And so it was the same way. It was very luscious. And I think... Oh, I know what the tribe was called, something else. It wasn't Red Willow. The tribe itself called itself the Red Willow tribe because the water that came through their tribe was the water that had red willows beside it. I think that was the story he told us. I was just remembering that as I was like picturing him talking. I do remember that now. Toas is what they spoke. Okay. Sorry, I'll definitely be posting information about this. And but it was... And so, like, they're showing us the water source, and inside of the reservation, or inside the Pueblo, they didn't use any New World stuff. Like, the only electricity / gas they were allowed to use, or heating or anything like that, only came from gas power. There was no electricity, no satellite TVs, no indoor water plumbing, none of that. They try to live as they would have lived back then. But they only had about 5 families that still lived on the reservation. The rest of them, or inside the Pueblo, most of them live on the reservation or on the lands that the tribe had, and they're allowed more amenities, of course, out there. But this river was their only water source inside there, and he was telling us about how what the government originally gave them didn't include the lake that the river came from, which is up on a mountain behind them. And so people were traveling up there, and because it was the middle of nowhere, people were dumping trash, and people were getting in the water and doing foolish things with the water up there, and it was polluting the river to the point where they couldn't drink it anymore. And he didn't, I mean, there's just a lot of information, and so he didn't explain in detail, but they complained about it. Of course I would complain. Like, anyone should complain about something like that, because that was their water source. And they complained about it enough, and they fought it enough, that they actually gained back land. They gained back their river. They gained back their lake. And they were the first people... He said they were the first Native Americans to gain back land from the U.S. And that empowered other ones to really fight for their rights as well, which was... It was amazing. Like, that's so cool. And now they have the water back to the point where they can actually drink it right from the river. They actually do drink it right from the river. They don't have to boil it or do anything else to it. But they do have someone from the local college come and check it once a month, just to make sure that it's not... something doesn't change. And then they were actually... he was telling us about how they try to clean up the debris and the trash people would leave behind up there, and to this day they're still having to clean it up, because he said there's whole cars up there, there's old refrigerators and things still left behind that they're still having to clean up. And then, of course, they always have little shops, and some of the stuff that I bought did not make it home, because some of the stuff I bought there was food. And so one of the things that the Spanish at one point conquered New Mexico. Apparently I'm going to have to put a whole history lesson with this one. But at one point Spain conquered New Mexico. I mean, they conquered most of Mexico. They conquered New Mexico along with it. Back then it wasn't New Mexico, though. And when they did it, they brought a lot of their old traditions, which is why they have a church on there, because the church was Catholic church. The Spanish tried to convert most people to Catholicism, and so that's why they ended up with a Catholic church on the premises. And then they also brought with them, I forget the word for them, but they're these little round adobe stove things that sit outside. They're huge. I mean, they're not like, oh, it's a little stove. No, they're big. Like, I could have probably crawled inside one of them. And they usually have a flat rock inside of them. And what you do is you put lots and lots of wood in there, and you heat it up until it's really, really hot, and it's down to ashes. And you pull all the ashes back out, and then it's warm enough you can put all your breads in it, or all your foods for the day, and it would cook for like an hour. And so one of the older women that was there, she had made pastries, like bread and pastries. I only ate the pastries. they didn't have, like, I forget what they didn't have in them, but they definitely didn't have milk and egg, so they wouldn't spoil as quickly. And they were really, really light. I want to say they had a couple other things that weren't in them, but I don't remember for a fact what wasn't in the bread product. But she had a cherry. They were like this thin pies, and one was cherry and one was apricot. And of course, like, I wanted them because it's food, and so I bought 2 of them, and they weren't like, when we think of pastries, we think of like Americanized, really, really sweet, like hurt your teeth pastries. These were all like a natural sweet, like you could really taste the flavor of the fruit in it. It was really great. And I'm trying to think. Then we ended up at this little tiny, actually the stores are inside of the houses, and so each family takes care of the house that they take as theirs. And so, of course, each of these people actually take care of the places that they had their businesses in. And then we ended up in this little shop that had photography in it. And all her photography were of the people or of the place that we were in. And let me see here. I'm trying to see. It's White Flower Photography by Debbie. Oh, I'm going to mess up this last name because they're Debbie Lujan. It's Lujan. I don't know how you say that. But I'll put all the information up there because her work was gorgeous. Like, I would have taken home one of her really, really big pieces if I knew I could have fit it in my suitcase and got it here safely. But I wasn't going to risk it, so I only got like a little tiny, like, postcard sized picture, and I'll probably end up framing it because it's beautiful. But it's called Spring's Last Snowfall, Taos, Pueblo, New Mexico. The last snowfall of spring comes to northern New Mexico. Also, the Taos Pueblo is the oldest continually inhabited community in North America. I didn't know that. They did not tell us that, pretty sure. I mean, they could have, but here. Let's hope it doesn't wash out. Let's see if I can take it out of the plastic and it'll help. Maybe that will help. You know, if I thought that one through. There we go. Much better. But this is one of the traditional adobes. And you can see they're all very flat. And they have that square look to them. And this is all mud. And then apparently, if you see this little wooden structure right here, that's where they're drying racks. And then this is the mountain behind them where the blue lake is, which is the lake they came back. And it's washing out because that's snow. We were up almost to Colorado at that point, and it's all mountains up there. And so they actually get pretty decent snowfall up there. But isn't that gorgeous? Like, and oh, she doesn't alter any of her photos. That was one of her things. And she explained it in a way, but I kind of got it because they live in nature. They take from nature directly. Why would you not be, when you're being a photographer, why wouldn't you want to live this, like, the same way you live? Why wouldn't you want your photography to be the same way? But so she doesn't alter the photos. There was a couple black and whites, but that's a little different. But I'm trying to see if it might show up a little better. But yeah, it was gorgeous. Like, and of course this one came home with me because it was up on the wall and it was gorgeous. And then we also ended up in a little tiny shop next door where the woman was actually making the jewelry as we came in. So as we would buy stuff, she was actually just making it and putting it right back on like, not the same pieces, but she was just making new pieces and putting them right back on. So I bought brooches for my little sisters, and for me, let's see if it'll show up. My poor little computer is having a bad day. Let's see. There we go. And this is actually purple, less blue, more purple. But I bought earrings for myself. Little dangly earrings. And they were, like, this was $5 for handmade jewelry. Can't beat that. No one around here would sell handmade jewelry for $5. Well, decent handmade jewelry for $5. But, and I felt good. Like, I would have spent my whole entire paycheck there easily. Just because I kept being like, you could tell, you met the people the money was going to, and the money not only went to feed them, it went to take care of the houses that they were living in the community around them. And so, I don't know, something about spending my money there just was really good. It felt really great, especially coming out of Taos, where, not to say anything is ever overpriced because, I mean, from one artist to the next, but at the same time, there was a couple pieces in there that were very overpriced at Taos and in the shops and stuff. And so to leave the shops and go to the same kind of setup where it was people doing arts, and they weren't concerned if they made thousands and thousands of dollars. They were concerned about feeding their family. It felt different. The whole atmosphere was different about it. But that was my stay in Taos, basically, through all the things I bought. And then we left Taos, and I forget where we ended up, but we ended up in a little tiny town. And we went to eat, and while we were eating, I did it again. Apparently, the place we were eating had a gift shop, and the gift shop had, now this is the first time I've ever opened this, so I don't know. The gift shop had coloring books. Guess what the coloring books were? It's a Fox family! That's what the coloring books are! And it's in Spanish. I don't read Spanish, but it's a coloring book. Let's see if I can actually... Can't tell me that's not adorable. More adorableness. And there was one that's called La Familia Zero. Don't ask me what that means. And throughout the year with La Familia Zero. And this is the second one. Let's see if this one will wash out. Yeah, this one's a little... Oh, there we go. So cute. And because I bought them both together, because they had little packets like this, I also got a little fox with it. He has the little signia on it. Only I could make it to New Mexico and find fox stuff. But yeah, and then I also got a poster, but I left the poster in my bedroom because it looks exactly like this. So, and then that was pretty much everything that I got while I was there. Now, I did take knitting with me, and the only knitting I took pretty much was my sweater. And if you all remember, I had just made it past the color work. Well, when you spend like 20 hours in a car and take like 20 hours in a plane over a week, this is what happens. 2 balls of yarn more. Because I'm making this pattern longer. So I was probably like here when I last saw this. Like right around this area. So all of this happened in a week. And of course now my computer's like, let's be dark. But yeah. So I probably have to do about one more ball of knitting up. And then I'll start working on the shoulders. Well, like the arms and the shoulders and all that. And as you can see, it's not on the needle. So it's like all freaked out up here. But that's that. I'm trying to think. Oh, when I got home, because I was getting home on Tuesday, and as long as everything went well, I had made plans with my friend to go up to the Mannings. Because, well, I needed something to do, even though I'd be a little jet lagged. But also because the Mannings is closing, she hadn't been there in like 10 years, and she really wanted to see it one last time. And so me and her went up, and again, I have a whole room, so I wasn't really planning on buying anything. And then I found this book. It's my grandmother's knitting, in case this is backwards for you all. And let's see if it shows up. There we go. Apparently if I just tilt everything to a drastic degree. And then, like, the back of the cover is really cute too, with all the pictures. And I'm just gonna... I'm not going to show you any of the real patterns in it. I'll just link the book and you all can see all the patterns. But the reason I really wanted it is because I've been looking at... I've liked and been looking at this pattern forever. And it is the family tree Afghan. Sorry, excuse me. And if you can tell, those are leaves over there. And because I only sort of maybe glanced at the pattern book while we were there, when I read it, it said something like 9,000 yards. If you do the math here, it says 9,000 yards. And I was like, my sock yarn blanket doesn't take 9,000 yards, I think. Like, that's crazy. Okay, well, I'm just going to have to half it because I don't have the money to spend on, like, $9,000. Like, not $9,000. 9,000 yards of yarn. Like, I don't have the money for that. So I bought, like, half the yarn. Figured, okay, that will be fine. Then I started making it. And over here, just for y'all, just notes for y'all, using 2 strands held together. Yeah, that should probably be over there, just an FYI to the bookmaker, where the yarns are. Notes about the yarn should probably be there. Because I didn't read the note over here, because I didn't think that they would be holding 2 of the yarns together. So I did buy enough yarn for this, especially since I wanted it to be light and airy and not really dense. I probably will be able to make the entire thing now. But that was a highlight, and I bought that. And I went ahead, sorry for the crinkling because it's still in the bag. I went ahead and bought the yarn while I was there too. And I've been eyeing up this yarn forever at the Mannings. And it's their weaving yarn. So it's all on cones, and it's not going to play nice, is it? This is a green. I'm trying to get it to like want to play nicely with y'all, but it's not going to. There we go. Thank you. It's a very light green. And there's, it's almost 230 grams, approximately 900 yards. It's 8 ounces. And it is 100% Virginia wool spun in the USA. Harrisonville Designs, Inc. Made in Harrisonville, New Hampshire. Oh, it's Shetland. It's lime Shetland. That's what this is. It's Shetland. So, like, I wouldn't put it, like, if I was going to make something out of it, I definitely wouldn't make, like, something that would be sitting this close to my neck all day. Like, if it was a shawl, I could probably get away with a shawl. If it was a scarf, I could probably get away with a scarf. But I would not make one of those cowls that sit, like, right there on your neck with it. And I don't know why I do this. Like, I'm ever going to wear one of my knitted items way up here by my face. I'm not. But I got green. And let's see if they'll all play nicely together right here on the... Okay, apparently I'm going to be holding them. Green and orange. And there's a brown. And there's this yellow. And a purple. And here, let's see if I can just tilt, because I really want them all to play really nicely together, because they look really beautiful together. Now hold these. I just want everyone to see them. Other than the green that's washing out to white. No, it's a little dark down here, but that gives you a great idea. And I'll post pictures of the color theme for these. And, so it's very fall themed. I figured with the leaves it would be very nice. And then something happened like 2 weeks ago. And I kind of need the fall themed for something next fall. Like maybe I got engaged. And so we decided on a fall wedding, and I'm really thinking the pattern would go really well in the leaves and everything that I have. I'm gonna see if I can't alter it and make it into like a capelet or some sort of something that just wraps around my arms to wear with the dress that I picked for the fall. And I think leaves and these colors are gonna go great. And I'm using the pattern still, so I don't feel bad for buying the book. I even got one of my own little leaves finished up. Well, it's not finished, but started up. See how airy it's gonna be? You can almost see through it, which I like. I like that. I am weird. I like almost seeing through knitting sometimes, especially when it's a leaf. I don't know, something about that. But yeah. So I'm hoping to finish like a capelet of some sort, or like some sort of shawl or something to just wrap around me for it. And I picked the perfect colors for it too, so it works. And that's about all the serious shopping I did. Yeah. I got a lot of the little... Here, let me throw this back, because it's like right in my face. I did so much stuff today, it's all like around me. But I did a lot more of the coffee cozies. I have like 15 of these done now, and I wanted like 20, but now I'm considering actually making 2 of each of the colors and doing about 30 of them then, because I also am like, I don't know what 5 colors I'm going to make them out of. So part of me wants to just go back and make 2 of each, because if you like them, you might buy 2 of them. But I got some of the coffee cozies done, and I got some of the hats done. I mean, they're not finished. Like, they're not finished. Like, they still need stuff sewn in, and I still need to put buttons on them. But should have brought down one of my plastic heads to really show that off. Oh! FYI, there's something called a piño in New Mexico, and if you have the chance of eating one of these bad boys, eat it. Apparently, they only grow about every 2 to 3 years, and it's this little tiny nut. This is actually the nut in its shell, and I'm not going to crack one for y'all because I almost break my teeth when I do. But we saw like tons and tons of people out actually picking them in the national forest out there. But they're these little nuts that I lost. And this one's roasted. So I don't know if they look like unroasted. I don't know if this is the same shade. But inside is this little white nut. They're called piños. And they taste like foresty. Not in a bad way. Like, it doesn't taste... Like, lamb, I would say, tastes barny. This tastes like fresh air and fresh spring water and forests. And sort of almost piney, but not exactly piney. So, but they're like little crack. That's what I decided. They are New Mexico crack. And I'm pretty sure when I run out of this supply, I'm going to have my friends get me more before the season is over. Yeah. Then again, maybe you shouldn't try them because they only come around once every couple years. But yeah, so I did that, and little baby diaper covers. This is like newborn size, of course. Actually, I'm debating putting them on the sides like that. To me, that just looks cuter in the long run. But there's that. And there's some newborn hats, but I'm not going to pull them out. And washcloths. And of course it's white, so it's going to freak out the computer. Come on, honey. Come on. There we go. Finally, this thing is getting smarter. But yeah. And if anyone sees anything on here that they like the washcloths or the hats or anything, if you see a pattern that you really like, or a style you really like, and you were like, I can't find this, where did you make it? It's because I didn't find it anywhere. I usually make them up on my own as I go, but I'm happy to write up the pattern real quick for you all and post it for y'all. And make up a pattern. Well, not make it up. I mean, it's a pattern that will be on here. But yeah, I think that's everything. It was a busy 2 weeks. It was. And as you can tell, it's almost an hour, and that's the longest I've ever talked. So, I will be posting pictures, Instagrams, Ravelry pages, patterns, yarns, wool. I'll be posting this all. It might take me a day or two because I'm still a little scatterbrained. I don't feel like I've caught up yet on the things I'm behind on. But yeah, if there's any questions, just shoot me a question because I'm happy to answer them. I'm sure I forgot something somewhere along the lines. So have a good week.